All right, so I did a screen share. We'll kind of review where we were last week, what we have ending this week, and then looking forward. So this week on Sunday, we will actually end the first module, which it's short, and then we'll get into module 2, which will take up the rest of the course. So looking ahead, what you have coming up basically due Sunday is the discussion with topic number 3, and which is dealing around social skills criteria. So that'll be the topic point of discussion 3, and then submitting a final lesson plan. So went through, did the review, offered some feedback on some of the lesson plans. Pretty much in general, all of them look good. Nothing really concerning on there. And I made comments. A few of you might have missed some areas there, just overlooked a particular area. And I made a comment on there about make sure you go back and add. And then I listed the particular section if you overlook. If I didn't offer that type of comment, I said, hey, everything looks good in this lesson plan, then you're pretty much good. You can turn around and submit that as your one for a grade this week. So unless I made a specific comment about going back and checking a certain section and adding to it, you're good to go. So you can just submit that one. So should be in good shape there. And then, so that will pretty much wrap us up for module 1. We'll start module 2 next week, looking at chapter 6 and 7 and MAG textbook. And so after you submit that final lesson plan, looking ahead that following week, basically it's asking you to go in and do like start doing just a video recording and presenting that lesson you developed. And then I'll just have you share that with me via email. And then I'll go in because it's actually tied in as part of that lesson plan assignment. It's gives you some points on that. I think when it's broken down on the rubric, it's worth 25 points total on that assignment. So again, just having a video yourself presenting that lesson is what will be expected on that. And then it's tied into that assignment. Also making sure that you guys have started on your recording your practicum hours. You want to have your first checkpoint coming up or accountability check for the first half coming up in about another week or so, where you can submit the first half, which would reflect 25 hours. If by chance you've already gotten all your hours, it's required, which some of you may be at that point midway through. When you have to have the first half done, you can actually go ahead and submit all of them and include your reflection, and I'll go ahead and score it, and that way it's all knocked out. So depending on what your class setup is and how much accessibility you've had the students to record or log in that time, if you're ready to submit it at that point in time of the course, you can. So just know that that's coming up, making sure you're recording. Does anyone have questions on practicum hours? I think we got into a little bit of it last week, but since we talked, does anyone have a specific question about what's accepted and what's not? Remember, it doesn't necessarily all have to occur inside a classroom. It could be things you've intervened on or observed in transition from classroom setting to special elective courses. It could be things that have happened on the playground, in the cafeteria, any area, not necessarily limited to classroom on that. So just remember that so you can log in your time. Looking at the lesson, I don't know how familiar you guys are with doing recordings and then condensing that file and then sharing that. A common way that students have done that in the past is literally they'll use Zoom as their recording, their platform, and then they literally will download that and then upload it and create a YouTube link and then just share that link with me. That's probably the easiest way. I don't know how familiar you are with doing that. You may have other platforms that you like to use. There's various other ones out there, but Zoom tends to be pretty easy and a lot of people are familiar with it. So do you want to have a question about a specific recording platform?
Do we need to get if we're zooming in with a group of students to do the video, to do the lesson plan, do we need to get permission from their parents or anything, or just focus it on us.
Focus it on you.
Okay.
Yeah, focus on you. You don't have to, or depending on where you're going to situate your camera or how your classroom's set up.
Mhm.
If you have to set your camera up where it may need to be at the back, as long as it's showing the back of a student, not their faces, you could do that. Okay, so they're really just mainly on focusing on presentation of the lesson and the content. That's really what we're looking at. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, and so that following week, basically, and I'm gonna go back and make a comment. The way this course is laid out, it's really laid out and pretty equal as far as not having a lot of assignments pile up on you at once. So, and then working with the group concept on most of this, so it lays out really nicely to where you're not overwhelmed. So that following week, you'll literally have a discussion and then you'll submit your video. Okay. So next week, we're actually going to get into a detailed or in-depth discussion and start breaking down the FBA, because after next week, your groups will start collecting data through observations, and we'll go over the specific forms. I kind of went over that week one, but we'll really start breaking it down. And if you look at the syllabus, looking ahead at the upcoming weeks, it even breaks up the FBA into 3 different parts. So you slowly get into it and transition from one to the next as you're building that FBA. So it'll kind of flow naturally once we break it down next week and get into it. Is there any questions about what we have the next couple weeks coming up? Have you been able to make contact with your groups? Everyone good there? You had correspondence from them? No issues there as far as being able to communicate? You're getting full responses from everyone? Okay. Is there any questions? I don't want to keep you on here a long time tonight, just for the sake of keeping you. I just kind of wanted to touch base on what's coming up due this week, and then kind of next week we'll be on here longer because we're going to start breaking down the FBA and talking about the specific parts and what will be expected for each submission on that. Okay. Any questions? Everyone good? Lori's kind of got her hand up here like she's in deep thought. I'm still sidetracked with the beach in the background. I can't help it. Okay, unless anyone has questions, I will let you guys go. If something comes up, just shoot me an email. Again, I check them in the morning and the afternoon, and I'll get back to you with the response. And then next week on Wednesday when we meet, just be prepared to start breaking down the FBA for step one, because we'll jump right into it. And then that following week, you guys will submit it as a group, the step one for that FBA. Okay. All right, you guys have a good week, what's left of it, and get some rest. Caught up.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.